Hello, this is the wrong page. This is the last section in Chapter 1, and it's about dimensional analysis. Dimensional analysis is the process of using units instead of a formula to do a calculation. And in doing so, you're going to use conversion factors. And all conversion factors is that it allows you to go from one quantity to another quantity. An example would be that 3 feet is equal to 1 yard. Okay, but it can also be one expression that has 2 different units in it. So we've talked about density. Density is also a conversion factor because it has grams and grams and milliliters in it, or mass and volume. It allows you to go convert between mass and volume if you know the density. Okay, so the question is, how many feet are in 140 centimeters? Okay, I would tell you, I don't expect you to know that 1 inch is equal to 2.5 centimeters. I do expect you to know that 1 foot is equal to 12 inches, however. So I'm going to start with the quantity that I know of 140 centimeters. I want to put centimeters on the bottom so that they cancel out, which puts the 1 inch on top. And then I want inches to cancel out, so I put the 12 inches on the bottom and the 1 foot on top. And I enter this by going 140 centimeters divided by 2.54 divided by 12, and I get 4.59, or in correct significant figures would be 4.6 feet. Okay, so put this into your calculator and make sure that you get this answer and did the math correctly, or the calculation correctly. This is out of the book. 1.82 centimeters of 1.82 in the book says that the acidic constituent in vinegar is acetic acid. A 10 milliliter sample of a certain vinegar contains 611 milligrams of acetic acid. What is the mass of acetic acid expressed in micrograms? Now, I've colored 10 milliliters, 611 milligrams, and the question, mass of acetic acid in micrograms. Because when you're doing word problems, the first part of the problem is to pull the information that you need to do the problem out of the problem. Okay, so 10 milliliters is a unit of volume, milligrams is a unit of mass, and micrograms is also a unit of mass. Okay, this is very much like using a GPS system. In order to use a GPS system, you have to know where you're going in order to find out the route to get there. Okay, since I'm given a mass in milligrams and I want a mass in micrograms, it turns out that the 10 milliliters is extra information. I don't need 10 milliliters. Okay, now you may not know all these conversion units at the front, but you should know the SI conversion units from one to the other. So you should know that 1 milligram is 1 times 10 to the minus 3 grams, and that 1 microgram is equal to 1 times 10 to the minus 6 grams. So when you're starting these problems, you want to start out with the information you know, 611 milligrams. Okay, so what conversion factor over here has milligrams in it? It's the 1 milligram is 1 times 10 to the minus 3 grams. So does the milligrams go on the top or the bottom half of the fraction? Well, since it's what I want to cancel out, it needs to go on the bottom. So that means that 1 times 10 to the minus 3 grams goes on top. So that cancels out my milligrams here. So now I'm just left with grams. So the only other conversion factor that's used is the 1 times 10, the micrograms there, to grams. So do I want the micrograms to go on the top or the bottom part of this fraction? Since I don't want to cancel that out, I do want to cancel out micrograms, and I want my answer in micrograms, then I need to put the micrograms on top. So you would enter that, or you would have it this way. Now, the problem is the way that you enter this into your calculator is 611 times 1 EE on your calculator. It's usually second comma or the button above the 7, whatever that may be, on your calculator. You want to use the EE. E minus 3. You don't use a 10 at that point at all. EE means minus 10. Divided by 1 EE minus 6. Now, if you have one that does not have an EE button, you're probably going to have to use parentheses. So you would also enter that as 611 parentheses 1. A lot of times you do have a times 10 button, minus 3, close parentheses, divided by open parentheses 1, a times 10 button, minus 6, close parentheses. Okay, and that's going to be equal to 611,000 micrograms, or in scientific notation, that's 6.11 times 10 to the 5th micrograms. These two values here are equivalent. Okay, so you need to make sure that you can enter this into the calculator that you have in front of you and that you get this answer. Okay, if you get something that's to the minus 7th, then you probably have entered this one right here incorrectly. Okay. 1.86 is a little bit harder problem. It asks for what's a submicroscopic particle suspended in a solution has a volume of 1.3 micrometers cubed. Okay, micrometers is a unit of volume. What is the volume in liters? And I would tell you that 1 centimeter cubed is equal to 1 milliliter. So again, the 1.3 micrometers cubed is in color, and so is the question of the volume, because I need any unit cubed is a volume, or not any, distance cubed is a volume, and then it's also asking the volume in liters. Now, again, from the SI table, 1 micrometer. Now, this is the same micro that we used in the last problem, but this time it's in front of meters instead of grams. But because this is a micro, it's minus 6. So micro means minus 6. It doesn't matter what variable is in front of, whether it's grams, meters, liters, or whatever. Okay. The other one is 1 centimeter is equal to 1 times 10 to the minus 2. So centa means minus 2. A milli means times 10 to the minus 3. So 1 milliliter cubed is 1 times 10 to the minus 3. You may not recognize that you need all of these just yet. Okay, and this is the one I already gave you. Again, I'm going to start out with the value given, 1.3 micrometers cubed. Okay. And which one of these conversion factors over here has micrometers? It's the top one. Okay, and so do I want micrometers to go on the top or the bottom? Since that's the one I want to cancel, it's going to go on the bottom. Now this one's different in the fact that this unit right here is cubed. Not the whole expression, but this unit is cubed. This up here is not cubed. So I have to cube the whole expression. So 1 times 10 to the minus 6 cubed is the same thing as 1 times 10 to the minus 18th. So I would enter this as being 1.3 times 1 times 10 to the minus 18th, or if I put parentheses 1 as 1 EE minus 6, parentheses, caret 3, it'd be the same thing. Okay? So my micrometers cubed has canceled. Now I need to cancel out meters. So the only other one up here that has meters in it is the second one. It goes from centimeters to meters. So is the centimeters going to go on top or bottom for this next section? The answer is the top because the meters need to cancel. So again, though, this now is cubed, so I need to cube this whole fraction. And 1 times 10 to the minus 2 cubed is 1 times 10 to the minus 6. So that's basically saying that I'm going to divide by 1e to the minus 6 meters cubed. Okay, and that leaves me centimeters. So now I've used up that one. The only one that has centimeters cubed in it is this conversion. Is the centimeters cubed going to go on top or bottom? The bottom, because I want it to cancel out. So, and that puts the 1 milliliter on top. So now this cancels out. And this does not have to be cubed because this unit is already cubed here. Okay. And the last one that I have left is milliliters to liters. Does the milliliters go on the top or the bottom? The bottom, because I want milliliters to cancel. So then 1 times 10 to the minus 3. So I would enter this as being 1.3 times parentheses 1 EE, or times 10, whichever button you have, minus 6, close parentheses, caret 3, divided by parentheses 1 EE, or times 10, whichever button, minus 2, close parentheses, caret 3. The 1 doesn't matter, so I don't enter it, times 1 double E minus 3. And when I put that into my calculator, I get 1.3 times 10 to the minus 15th liters. So you need to do this calculation and make sure that you get that value before you go on. The last question is from the book 1.92. It asks for the population. It says the population density of worms in a particular field is 33 worms per cubic meter. How many worms would be on the top meter of the soil in the field that has a dimension of 1 kilogram by 2 kilograms? Okay. So again, I've colored some things. I have 33 worms per cubic meter. So I wrote that as a fraction. I have a distance of, it says the top meter, so the distance is 1 meter. I have a distance of 1 kilometer. I have a distance of 2 kilometers, and the question is how many worms? So number of worms with a question mark. Okay, and there's only one conversion factor for this one, which is that 1 kilometer is equal to 1 times 10 to the minus 3. Again, kilo means positive 3. Okay, so this time I have two different calculations I have to do, because you see here that meters is cubed, which is a unit of volume. So I need to first calculate the volume. But I need my units. This one's in this one's in meters, this one's in kilometers, and that one's in kilometers, and I need it in meters. So I'm going to first change my 2 kilometers to meters. So I have 1 kilometer times 1 times 10 to the 3 meters gives me 1,000 meters. I have 2 kilometers times 10 to the minus 3 meters is get 2,000 meters. Now I need to calculate the volume. The volume is the 3 distances, the length, the width, and the height, if you will. In this case, it's the 1 meter that tells me the top meter of soil, the 1,000 meters times the 2,000 meters, and I get 2 million meters cubed, or 2 times 10 to the 6 meters cubed. Again, these two values are equivalent. This is just scientific notation, and this is non-scientific notation. Now I'm ready to find out how many worms there are. Now I have my meters cubed, and I want to cancel that. So I'm going to start out with my 33, the number of worms, and so I'm going to start out with my 33 worms per meter cubed. Now, do I want to multiply or divide by this value to get the number of worms? I want to multiply because I want to cancel out. This time I'm canceling out the denominator, and so I multiply by 2 times 10 to the 6th, and I get 66 million, or 6.6 times 10 to the 7th worms. And again, these two values are equivalent. Okay.